Good morning, team. As you are aware, we have been hired by Technova Solution to evaluate the internal control system of their payroll process. Our task today is to identify the potential weaknesses in their current payroll practices and propose suitable internal control to address those issues. So, let's stay focused and ensure we cover all four main payroll components: time tracking, payroll review, salary disbursement, and record keeping. Let's move on to our first issue of the meeting, which is about the time tracking and payroll calculation. There are several shortcomings in this section. So, Ms. Husnina, please provide your opinion on this problem.
Thank you, Naufal. I will take over to explain and present about this issue. First, I will explain the control objective of this issue. This issue is about time tracking and payroll calculations. The control objective of this issue is to ensure only actual working hours are recorded and all payroll components are accurately calculated in compliance with laws. The second control activity is HR review and verify attendance report. Recalculate salary and deduction for selected employees for the test of control. The last control activity is automated system calculate salary and deductions such as EPF, SOSO, and PCB. The test of control that we are doing for this last control activity is by verify deduction rates in the payroll system to make sure they are actually accurate. Also provide the recommendations and purpose to tell more why we need to do the control objective and the test of control for this issue. For the recommendations, we strengthen the monitoring of attendance and payroll processes and provide regular training to HR staff to improve their accuracy and attention to details. The purpose to do this recommendation is to ensure that payroll calculations are consistently correct and reduce the risk of errors and fraud.
Wow, good point. But for Ms. Susina, I have a few recommendations. First, you can add don't control or exception report review. Second, you can add audit log monitoring, like to ensure that the biometric system and payroll software maintain an audit trail of override or manual change, which should be reviewed periodically. So now let's move on to our second issue, which is about payroll review and approval. So Leila, can you tell me about solution you get from this problem?
Okay, right. For payroll review and approval, the contract objective is ensure before payment of payroll and payroll is checked, approved by authorized personnel, and free from error or fraud. So for the first control activities, must have segregation of duties. For example, payroll prepared by Daniel Lee as payroll officer, then reviewed by Ms. Wong, which is as HR, and then approved by Mr. Jason Tan as finance manager. So for the test control, they have document inspection. So first, review payroll reports for signature of both HR and finance, then ensure approval were done prior to salary transfer. So for the second control activities, any discrepancies, for example, excessive OT or unapproved allowance, are investigated and resolved collaboratively before final approval. So for the test control inquiry, ask HR and finance how they handle and documented payroll discrepancies. So for the last control activities, payroll report are signed, timestamped to maintain an audit trail. So for the test control, observation, watch a payroll approval meeting or process and confirm all steps are followed. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila, for your explanation. Now, let's move on to our next issue, which is salary disbursement and statutory compliance. Ms. Ainul, do you have any solution of this issue?
For the third issue, salary disbursement and statutory compliance, our main control objective here is to ensure that employee salaries are paid on time and accurately, and that all statutory contributions are properly remitted to the government. For the first control activity, Once payroll is approved, the system automatically generates a direct deposit bank file. This file is then uploaded to the company's banking portals. To test this, we will do a bank reconciliation. We will match the payroll register with the actual bank statement to confirm that payments were accurate. For second control activity, the finance team conduct a final review before transfers are made. Here, we will inspect remitted reports and payment receipt from bodies like LHDN and KWSP to ensure that contributions were properly submitted. And for the last control activity, the payroll software auto-generates statutory reports such as EPF Form A. Finance is responsible for submitting this on time. To test this, we will reperform part of this process by selecting a samples of employee deductions and checking if the amount match what was filed and paid to authorities.
Thank you, Ms. Ainul, for the explanation. But I also want to add a few recommendations to you. First, you can introduce dual authorization for bank uploads, and then you also can verify correct payee bank account mapping, like periodically match employee bank account details against the master HR record to prevent salary diversion fraud. So now the last issue of our meeting is about record keeping and reporting. So for this part, Miss Alia Natasha, can you give your opinion about this issue?
Okay, for the last issue. So, for control objective, to ensure timely and accurate payment to employees and proper remittance of all statutory contribution to government agency. For control activities, payroll data is stored in a cloud-based encrypted system with access is restricted to authorized HR and finance staff. For tests of control, access control review, examine, access log, and user roles for the payroll system to verify restricted access. Control activities is monthly and yearly payroll. Reports are generated, reviewed, and achieved for 7 years. So for the test of control, inspection, check that monthly payroll reports are properly achieved, labeled, and match general ledger entries. Last control activity is report a cross-check with financial account to ensure accurate tax filings and budgeting. And for the test of control, performance, compare year-end payroll summary with statutory filings. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Alia Natasha. So I have a few recommendations for you. First, you need to perform periodic backup to recovery testing. Second, you need to limit data export permission to ensure only authorized person can export payroll data to Excel or PDF to prevent data leakage or unauthorized manipulation. Great insight, everyone. Let me summarize. So, for time tracking, we need a better system validation and HR monitoring. Payroll review, we need to enforce documents and discrepancy handling and approval. For salary disbursement, we need to reconciliation with bank and statutory payment verification. And the last one, record keeping, we need to secure access cross-check with financial report. For the next step, we will compile this into our audit report to support the final audit plan. I will delegate writing section to each of you after this meeting.
Should we also include a summary of our control test?
Absolutely. Let's make sure each control recommendation includes a corresponding test of control. We will finalize this in the draft due by the end of the week. Thanks again, teams. Meeting adjourned.